halt direkt drauf. You start. No, I start. Okay. Welcome back, Pokemon trainers. We are about to go into round 4, and this time I'm not only joined by Flareon, but also welcome back, Lou.
Hello, I'm so excited to be back here. Had a nice little break watching you guys cast that phenomenal game, which was really, really great to see. And we're going to be back with another really epic one very soon. But, you know, so far the tournament's going really, really well. There's a great feel here, like great atmosphere in the hall at the moment. Lots of energy across both TCG and video game. But the best thing at the moment is some of the diverse Pokemon that we've seen. And I'm just delighted that we actually got to see Komodo as well on screen.
Yeah, and we will see another really excited Pokemon here, because we are featuring no one else than Jens, who was the runner-up from the Oceania International. And with those 400 CP, he suddenly found himself in competition for top 16 in Europe. And of course, he wants to stay in that competition, and he's now here. I think he done really well at his last Mid-Season Showdown, which he actually won with a slightly updated version of his Nidoking team.
I mean, that was great to see from the Oceania International Championship.
I'm really excited to see if he decides to bring that Nidoking once again to this tournament, and if we see a Rotom wash again.
I mean, that's one of the Pokemon you like as well.
Yep.
I love a bit of Rotom. But I was just chatting to both the players before the game here, because Jens, we all know from the Oceania International Championships with that famous Nidoking. But Nicholas is a player that hasn't really been on the scene very long. I was just chatting to him and he said this is his first year competing. He actually went to the Prague championships we had recently. He said he didn't do too well, wasn't very happy with his record, so his confidence was down a little bit. But he's now here at Stuttgart doing really, really well in the tournament, and he's just riding the high at the moment. Yeah,
I actually talked to, like, Marcus talked to him in Malmö, where he didn't do too well either. And Jens started to believe that maybe he's just a one-hit wonder, maybe this is like his breakout tournament in Oceania, but there might nothing follow afterwards. But now 3-0, pretty solid start into this Stuttgart Regionals here in Sindelfingen. We're about to go into round 4. Players are ready. They're setting up at the moment. So two very, like from what I can see, very special teams here. Jens on the other side, and then Nicholas. I don't know, like I don't think I've heard of him before.
No, like I said, he's really, really new into the format, and I was just trying to like catch up with him and sort of see how his journey's gone. But I think it's interesting. So if you're mentioning with Jens, he sort of did so well in Oceania, then hasn't done too well since, and he doesn't want to be known as like a one-hit wonder. He wants to get a reputation on the board. So he's here to prove himself that he can do more than just, you know, that second place phenomenal finish, but he can be consistent as well. And Nicholas is just here to carve out a name for himself to start out. Imagine in your first year coming into regional championship level and taking all the way.
But like, let's first of all talk about his experience in Oceania. So he's from Norway. So without having any of those travel stipends, travel awards, he decided on his own to travel all the way up to, like, all the way down more so, to Sydney, down under.
Southern Hemisphere.
And then he found himself in the finals playing against the Italian player Alessio Boschetto. And yeah, he might have lost that game, but coming out of nowhere to finish second at the Sydney International Championships is like a really great success. I don't think a lot of players have reached one of those international finals, because as of now we only had 4 of them, so there are 8 players in finals. I think we had one Italian player who was in finals twice.
Yes, I believe we did, yeah. He had a good little reputation going there. He was always second place, always like the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yep.
But you never know, maybe in this current season, if he goes to Brazil or to Colombia, maybe he could go and just do one better. And I'm sure with the way Italy have been playing this season, it is very, very possible for an Italian to take it all the way, just like Sammy Sanvito did in London. But we can now have a little look at team preview, and I am delighted to see that Jens has decided to bring that Nidoking. He has paired up with the Tyranitar Metagross, the Rotom Wash, Togekiss, and the Incineroar, whereas Nicholas has gone for Gengar, Landorus, Incineroar, Kartana, Zapdos, and Tapu Fini.
Yeah, so we talked about Jens' team before a little bit. Nidoking once again here, then Rotom Wash, Tyranitar, really great picks. On the other side though, Nicholas, he has his Gengar, which we can assume might be Mega Gengar here. But there's no Whimsicott to it, there's even not a Illumise to it, and there's no Tapu Bulu to it, so a lot of common Pokemon you see with Gengar. He decided instead to go with that Kartana, which we haven't seen before in this tournament yet. And then, I mean, Zapdos and Fini, Landorus, pretty common picks with
Good
that
combinations
Incineroar.
though.
So his grass Pokemon is not Tapu it is Kartana. And we have to see, because like one thing that was like stood out for Jens in his tournament run in Oceania was that Togekiss and Nidoking combination. So we have to see if that Landorus should also be a special variant. Then that Togekiss might help that Nidoking to sweep through that game.
Exactly, and Landorus, the special variant of it, has been so popular lately. We were talking a lot earlier with Marcus about how the Intimidate Incineroar's on the rise, so maybe sort of turning a lot of your physical attackers into special attackers may be quite a good thing. But Jens here jumping straight into this round 4 game with his Nidoking and Incineroar, I believe it was, with Nicholas going for his own Incineroar, so they're facing off against each other, and the Kartana. And the one thing I love about Kartana in this current format compared to last one, it gets Tailwind.
Yes, that is one new addition. But talking about those leads, Incineroar for Jens, such a great lead. Not only lowering the attack of Incineroar, but more importantly of that Kartana. And Nidoking in such a great spot because that Earth Power is pressuring down at Incineroar, and then Earth Power is also pressuring down at Kartana. So Nidoking, as I said in team preview, a really great pick here for Jens. And I'm excited to see, very interested to see how Nicholas will be able to play around that Nidoking.
Exactly, the Nidoking is going to be such a threat here, but obviously if it is something that he's had from Oceania, if Nicholas has been watching the streams, he might be able to gauge a little bit of information pre-tournament. But first of all, we're going to see the Kartana switch out for the opposing Landorus, so Intimidate's galore going on in this round 4. Going to fire off another Intimidate against that Nidoking and the Incineroar, so they're not going to appreciate being at -2 attacked so early on. Incineroar on Nicholas' side, going to go first, going to fake out into the opposing Nidoking, potentially breaking a Focus Sash if that happened to be the item on there, as the Incineroar on Jen's side first follows up with a fake out into the opposing Landorus. Yep.
Now Landorus on the field, and that is one way to beat down that Nidoking, but of course Jens having Togekiss and Rotom, and I'm pretty sure at least one of those should be in the bag. A switching of those would be great to first preserve damage on Nidoking, and then also having Will-O-Wisp as one option against Landorus if it's physical, and then if it's special, Togekiss can just redirect all those incoming Earth powers. So I'm really interested to see how this Landorus is trained and what Jens might adapt in this second turn here.
I mean, one of my favourite games was always to play, so what's the item on a Landorus at the beginning of a game? It's all about the information, Choice Scarf, Assault Vest, Life Orb, anything like that, but now we have to work out if it's special or physical. Kartana's going to jump right back into this game though, unintimidated now, so it will be able to threaten a lot more damage. And we're going to see Jens switch out his double intimidated Incineroar for the Togekiss, so potentially we could see some follow me going on here. But first of all, it's going to be a Z move, and it's going to be that Tectonic Rage coming off from the Landorus.
Nothing else on that Tectonic Rage. We still have not confirmed if it's special or physical here, but either way.
Oh, it went into the Togekiss.
Yes.
What a great switch in from Jens there, completely negating any damage from the Z move.
I was about to say how even through Protect, this Tectonic Rage should deal a lot of damage to the Nidoking, but such a great switch in here, not switching out Nidoking, but Incineroar, and then taking that Tectonic Rage like a champ, not dealing any damage there. So now he's in a great spot, but still, that Landorus is not intimidated, and an Earthquake, neutral Earthquake, should be enough after that fake out chip damage. So either way, he has to switch out a Nidoking now, probably bringing in that Incineroar, which would also take a lot of damage from the Earthquake. So that Landorus is now in a great spot and pressuring down, but actually switching out.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of had the advantage, but it wants to switch out and save it for another day. And Incineroar going to come in and throw another Intimidate against this Nidoking. So potentially if Nicholas is worried about some sort of follow me, an Earthquake things, I mean, that Nidoking was completely neutralized by 3 Intimidates. It's going to switch out now wisely by Jen, so he can reset the attack stat and bring in his own Incineroar. So I think we're going to see a lot of Intimidate Incineroar going out throughout this game. Just the players trying to switch up their ball positioning and weaken the opposing team. Kartana does go for that Tailwind though that I mentioned earlier, so it's going to boost up the speed on Nicholas' side of the field, but Togekiss has plans of his own and flaps his wings, goes for a Tailwind as well, so the speeds are equal.
Yeah, very nice to see how Kartana actually real Tailwind after you said it in the very beginning of this game. I'm not a huge fan of Tailwind of both setting them up because now nothing really changed. They could have also went for an attack. Of course, you want to match that Tailwind if you have the option. But Incineroar on both sides, I would have probably preferred that Landorus to attack. But if it's physical, Earthquake might not be the best option next to Kartana. So in the end, pretty decent play here to switch out, set up tailwind. Now both players tailwind. I think Nicola's Incineroar was faster at the very beginning.
I believe we had the fake out go first.
Yep.
So we did see that come off there. But interestingly enough, obviously, Jens now, he has switched in his own Incineroar. He has got the fake out advantage here. But once again, we're going to see Intimidate join the field coming in from the opposing Landorus. So Togekiss really not going to be too worried about this. Can go for any sort of move with if it's got Air Slash or Follow Me. But instead, it's going to just retreat right back to its trainer and bring in that Nidoking once again. So Jens has got his 2 Pokemon that he led with out on the field. Fake out going to come out from Nicholas's Incineroar into the opposing Incineroar, meaning that it will not be able to move this turn. And I think that's exactly what move it was possibly going to go for, another fake out in return. Yep.
Once again, Landorus is back in, and Incineroar is on the field, so there's no Intimidate option that could switch in here. Landorus in a great spot, of course. But once again, if it should be physical, then Earthquake next to Incineroar is not a good idea either. And we don't know yet if that Incineroar carries the move Protect. So I'm excited to see how this Landorus will finally be able to fire strong attacks and deal a lot of damage, because as of now, there was one Tectonic Rage going into Togekiss and then switching out, so not doing too much at all.
Well, another switch coming out here. It's going to be the Kartana jumping right back onto the field, facing down against this opposing Incineroar. But it doesn't have to worry about taking a Fleblets. I think Togekiss is going to join us back, and that's exactly what happens. Potentially might see a Protect come out from this Nidoking, just so that he can make sure he's got that Togekiss on the field before he goes for any damaging moves, so he'll have to Follow Me as a support, and that's exactly what happened. But seeing as no damage went out, it failed.
Yep. So just 2 Protects and switches, nothing too exciting going on here. Togekiss once again back on the field, so a lot of switching happened so far. Not a lot of attacks coming off. Free fake out so far, nothing exciting else. Tailwind, of course. So yeah, it finally comes down to when one of these trainers decides to attack finally, after bringing himself in a great position. So Landorus, let's assume it's physical. It has Protect and Earthquake.
That's what I want to know. We've sort of waited a few turns here and we still don't know if it's physical or special. But it's really interesting to see from both of these players as well. Like, they've got such a diverse range of Pokemon, and to them it's all about the ball positioning. Who has the strategic switch or pivot that's going to get them into a position that they can really start firing off some damage. Another switch straight away, Intimidate Incineroar coming right back onto the field. Honestly thought it would have been potentially, that was the turn for Nidoking to attack, but it's actually going to be Kartana's go first. Goes for a Leaf Blade into what was that slot, but Incineroar's just going to eat that up as Landorus goes for a Swords Dance. So still no damage from this Pokemon, but Swords Dance I think is confirming now it's going to be a physical variant. Air Slash comes out though from the Togekiss, does a huge amount of damage to Kartana, almost picking up the KO, but it's just surviving, so it'll be able to attack next turn. Yep,
Tailwind on both sides over now, but as I said before, it doesn't really affect the game too much. So the question here is, Landorus finally revealing that it's physical, having that Sword Stance. Now even more pressure on that side, because +1, I think it was Intimidated once, so +1 Earthquake should be enough to take care of that Incineroar, definitely enough to take care of that Nidoking. And based on the switches from Jens, I don't expect Rotom to be in the back. It might actually be Tyranitar?
It could well be. It's going to be a Rock Slide coming out from Landorus, not going to do any damage to Togekiss as it nimbly managed to avoid, and Incineroar will be able to hold on as well. Going to go for the Tailwind here, and thanks to its partner Incineroar getting the fake out onto the opposing Kartana, no Tailwind option from Nicholas here, so Jens will have the speed advantage going into the next turn, and will be able to pick up a KO on Kartana if he chooses to.
Yep, very clever play here to bring Incineroar in a position where a combination of fake out and Tailwind will ensure that Jens is the only player with Tailwind being up. And now, pressuring down that Kartana, which has to switch out, and Incineroar coming back, but you also can just attack into that Landorus, and I'm pretty sure Togekiss Intel should be faster, so a combination of, let me say, Flablets, Air Slash, with a okay, interesting.
Well, Dazzling Gleam instead. That's going to do some super effective damage onto the opposing Incineroar. Not enough, though, unfortunately. It's going to be a Flare Blitz, like you mentioned, coming out. Going to go into that Landorus, but, you know, Dazzling Gleam just wasn't enough to pick up a KO, though. Togekiss once again avoiding the Rock Slide, though. This is one nimble little Togekiss. Unfortunately, it will be enough to pick up the KO on Incineroar, so Jens will lose that Intimidator from his side of the field. But, you know, that little Togekiss is here to stay another day. It can still follow me. If he wants to bring in something like his Nidoking now, he will be able to potentially get a move off from it there.
Yep. So Togekiss avoided twice. I think that Dazzling Gleam should ensure that even if Kartana is not switching out, he won't be able to set up Tailwind, while on the other side still dealing damage to the Landorus. I was a fan of potential Air Slash there, but then you risk Tailwind coming up. So now having like yes, Incineroar went down, but you still have your Tailwind and you have a Nidoking in Tailwind, so that is a really great spot to have your Nidoking in. And let's see how this turn plays out.
Well, interestingly enough, Gengar has switched in here. In this format, it does not have access to Levitate, so if there is an Earth move coming out from Nidoking, it would have done some huge damage, but thanks to the Fake Out, doesn't have to worry about that. It does manage to get it into play here, as Air Slash will do a little bit of damage to the Gengar, not taking down 50%, but enough to sizable amount there.
Yep, and let's assume that Incineroar does not carry Protect. Then a double up into that slot will ensure that whatever comes in, or if that Incineroar stays in, will go down to a potential Earth Power and Air Slash combination. So let's see how this turn plays out. I really expect that Gengar just to protect, to make sure that Tailwind is over here, and then Nicholas has the option to attack before Jens goes off with 2 Tailwind boosted Pokemon there.
Exactly, and Togekiss won't appreciate taking a Sludge Bomb or anything like that as well, and with Gengar being such a speedy Pokemon, if it does want to protect, stall out the Tailwind, it could then be in the advantageous position. Landorus going to switch back in here though, obviously at really low health, but it's key for that Intimidate on the opposing Nidoking just to negate what kind of damage it can be dealing out. Gengar will hit the Mega Evolution button though, so it's going to Mega Evolve into Mega Gengar, get the Shadow Tag ability, going to trap in Nidoking and Togekiss, so he won't be able to switch it out, and if he's able to preserve this Gengar and just keep rotating in Incineroar and Landorus, he's going to really be able to weaken it. But it's going to be an Earth Power coming out. Oh gosh, I wasn't expecting that at all. Gengar is going to protect itself from this Dazzling Gleam, which is going to be enough to pick up on the opposing Landorus though, however. Yeah,
I'm not a huge fan of that Landorus switch in, because Landorus was such a great Pokemon against Nidoking, and sacrificing it so early, not very early in the game, but like at this stage of the game where Nidoking is so dominant at the moment, I don't really agree with that play. Now Incineroar is coming back in, of course threatening a Fake Out, and then we have to see what Gengar is doing here. But a very interesting point is that both players are already below 1 minute on their Your timer, so they don't have a lot of time for their last couple of turns. We might actually see how one of them might run out of Your timer. We saw how that happened to Jens in, I believe, his top 8 game at Oceania. So let's hope it doesn't happen once again.
Exactly, the 5-minute time is such a crucial thing in this current format. Double up into Togekiss though isn't enough to pick up the KO, but is enough to proc that Berry, Fake Out and Sludge Bomb combination. Going to eat up the Berry, go back up to over 50% HP as Earth Power comes out from the Nidoking. I was there thinking it's going to be Earthquake, but of course we cannot forget about the power of sheer force that Nidoking will have, boosting up the Earth Power. I'm going to easily pick up the KO there on the opposing Gengar.
Yep, so as I said, now Gengar is down, and that Nidoking is facing Incineroar and Kartana, which is already very low. I think easy follow me and attack play here will just seal it up for Jens, and which looked like a very open game for the most of the time. Thanks to that sacrificing Landorus there is now in very huge favor for Jens.
Exactly, he's in such a good position here. If he's able to click that follow me button just like he is and get some kind of double spread move off or something like that, he'll be able to pick up the KO here. Leaf Blade coming out from the Kartana. Togekiss isn't going to worry about that too much, takes it down to 32 hit point with a critical hit though. So, you know, maybe I was jinxing it just a little bit there. Earth Power though from Nidoking going into Incineroar, going to easily pick up the KO there, and it's just going to be Kartana against both of these Pokemon. So, you know, easily follow me, Earth Power will pick up this game for Jens.
Yep, and it looks like Nidoking in the end was really dominant here. It was the key difference which decided the game. Pick up 2 KOs already, and then I think it would just pick up the 3rd KO as well. I was expecting for Fate from Nicolas, because at this point it's just over. But yeah, let's play the last turn out. Leaf Blade, KOing Togekiss, giving him the last Beast Boost here.
Exactly.
Before he goes down to an Earth Power or Ice Beam. I think Earth Power might be the best way to not reveal that Ice Beam yet. And actually we see Earth Power coming off. Seal the game for Jens. 1-0 now in this best of 3 in our 4th round in this Stuttgart Regionals.
I just love seeing Nidoking come out so strong as well. You know, it's a Pokemon that is completely harmonious for Jens. He's so famous for using it in Oceania, and he's here back again. It picked up, was it 3 KOs? I think we saw it get, which is just absolutely incredible. So it's great to see him utilising this Pokemon, not only just proving that it's one that he brought to a major championship, but he's now bringing it again. It's his Pokemon. He's kind of claiming it as his own and doing so well with it. But as well, from Nicholas's point of view, he played excellently at the beginning of that game. The first sort of 5 or 6 turns were all just about switching and getting the best ball positioning that they can do. And Nicholas played that just as well as Jens did. He was there switching in all of his Intimidate, switching them out at the correct time as well. And it was just sort of a masterclass in how you don't necessarily have to go straight onto the offensive. It's all about thinking a couple of turns ahead to be able to utilize the strategy you best want to put your Pokemon in the best position to win the game.
Yeah, very, very good points there. That board position was very important. I said how Landorus was in such a great spot so many times, but then that tectonic rage into Togekiss.
Oh, that was such a shame.
Yeah, and then we saw Sword Stance. Unfortunately, 2 Rock Slides weren't able to connect to that Togekiss, which then in the end helped him to claim the win in this very first game.
Well, Togekiss was a bit of a star, not just the Nidoking. It managed to switch in and take that Tectonic Rage. Well, when I say take it, it just floated above it, to be honest. And then it just dodged out of the way of 2 Rock Slides. So, to be honest, Togekiss was kind of taunting Nicholas there a little bit, sort of mocking his team and all of his rock and ground type moves. So, it'll be interesting to see how Nicholas is maybe going to adapt. Do you think he's going to bring the same Pokemon or maybe switch it up a little?
So, for Jens, I'm pretty much expecting the same Pokemon, whereas at the other side, looking at what he brought, I mean, he needs an answer to that Nidoking, and Landorus is probably his best answer, but he wasn't able to play it out too well there. On the other side, he has Tapu Fini, which isn't doing, like, it depends on the speed set, of course, but comes down to how fast they are trained. But Jens actually switching up things a little bit here with his Metagross lead.
Yeah, he switches things up. Still that wonderful Nidoking once again, but this time it's paired up with Metagross, who is not going to worry in the slightest thanks to Clear Body. This double Intimidate lead from Nicholas with the Landorus and the Incineroar.
Yep.
So, I mean, you're going to see the Metagross here on the field, like I said, doesn't worry about this Intimidate, but it is facing down an Incineroar and Landorus with Tectonic Rage.
Yes, but thanks to its Clear Body ability and thanks to Landorus revealing that it's carrying a Z Crystal, not having the Choice Scarf, now Metagross is in such a great spot because he will just outspeed it. And if he's carrying the move Ice Punch, then this Landorus is in huge danger here. So first of all, let's make sure that his Fake Out is not like pressuring down him too much. So an easy double protect or even switch out would help here. And he actually brings in Togekiss, which helped him so much in the first game. Yes,
he's got the 2 Pokemon that really won in that game 1, the Nidoking and the Togekiss on the field at the moment. This would be a great switch in if once again Nicholas has clicked that Tectonic Rage button. Not this time though, however, it goes for a Protect, potentially just scouting out what Jens wanted to do, particularly with that Metagross, would it stay on the field or not. Ice Beam coming out from the Nidoking though, going into the Protect, so a great call from Nicholas there, and he also switched in his own Zapdos, so potentially we could see some Tailwind going off next.
Yes, but so what I really want to stress out here is how Nidoking didn't protect at all. So he was probably thinking, okay, having Incineroar next to the Landorus will definitely make sure that he's not going for any Earthquake actions here. So I can just go for an attack, maybe even expecting that Landorus to go for a Sword Stance in the very early game. But Landorus just protecting and Nidoking survived this turn, now having Togekiss by its side. But that Earthquake is just still pressuring down the Nidoking, which just decided to switch out.
Exactly, it doesn't want to take that pressure, switch out for Incineroar, who, I mean, doesn't want to take an Earthquake or a Tectonic Rage either, but at least this way it gets the Intimidate off onto that Landorus, so any damage that comes off from it will be weakened. Going to be the Earthquake coming out though, obviously not going to affect those flying type Pokemon of Togekiss and Zapdos, but will connect on the Incineroar. Thanks to the Intimidate, this will do less damage than anticipated, but will still take it down to 50% though, putting Incineroar in, you know, an awkward position going into the next turn. Tailwind comes out from Zapdos, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly what we're going to see come out from the Togekiss as well. Yeah,
we saw how damage rolls played a huge role in that Jonas against Joshua game, and once again we see how Earthquake is dealing 102 damage to that Incineroar, which has a total HP of 201. So a second Earthquake might be enough, but might also not be enough. And then Togekiss just matching the Tailwind of that Zapdos, but most importantly, Zapdos joining the field, which is a great addition because now Landorus can actually easily fire off those Earthquakes. I think that is a crucial adaptation from Nicholas in this game here.
Definitely, it's good ball positioning for him there, but of course Jens has not brought in his Incineroar. It has got access to Fake Out this turn. Obviously if Nicholas does have something like Protect on the Zapdos, he could just go for a double Protect, get that out of the way, but even if he does that, it then gives Jens the opportunity to maybe switch up his own ball positioning and put him into the better turn the next. However, Zapdos will not be going for Protect. It's going to switch right back out low and really save itself from any damage and bring in the Gengar, as that Landorus goes for a Sword Stance here. Great move in my opinion, because I don't think there's too much that Incineroar or the Togekiss can really do to threaten it, other than potentially have done the Fake Out to stop it moving, but that's not what we saw. It's going to be the knockoff instead, going into the Gengar, so that was a great call there, and Jens will completely remove that Pokemon from Nicholas's team in this game too, before it can even get any damage off.
Yes, but yeah, Gengar might go down here, but Landorus is now at +1.
Yeah, +1.
+1 should be able to deal, like, I mean, an Earthquake was probably enough before, but now it should definitely be enough. Even Rock Slide might be enough here, being super effective against both those Pokemon. So, Gengar, I don't think it played a huge role here, because yes, it might take care of that Togekiss, but if Rock Slide should finally connect with that Togekiss, then that Landorus will also help here.
That will really have to be the question. And I guess switching out the Zapdos as well, if it's holding something like a Berry, which we see quite often with Zapdos, it will have preserved it from being hit by the knockoff. So that it wouldn't, it still has access to that berry. You never know when. It literally is called a pinch berry. It might just need it later on in this game. But Yen's in such a great position at the moment. He's going to potentially be able to do some kind of follow me, but instead he's going to switch out that Incineroar, bring the Nidoking back into play. So paired up with the Togekiss here, we'll have to see if it hits the Rock Slide. It will on both of these Pokemon. So Togekiss, unfortunately, used up all of that speedy energy in game one. It will take a Rock Slide here, but both Pokemon will survive. Followed up by a Thunderbolt, however, this will be the question. Is it enough? And it is. So Jens, unfortunately, will be losing his Togekiss this game thanks to the double up.
Yep, so Zapdos once again, really great addition to that second game here. Not only being able to set up Tailwind as well, which Cortana did, but Cortana didn't do anything else with that Tailwind. But now Tailwind plus Thunderbolt, which was enough to pick up the KO. Also very risky but clever play to bring in your Nidoking, because you were expecting a Rock Slide and no Earthquake. So Nidoking still in the field. And now Incineroar is back with the fake out pressure once again. For example, like in this turn, Landorus might have to protect here. And Zapdos is not dealing any pressure on that Nidoking, so if Jens goes all out and fake out and Ice Beam the Zapdos, which might not be enough to pick up the KO yet, but might bring him down to like 10% or whatever, so that would be a great play here. So let's see if Landorus decides to protect or actually goes for an attack here.
Exactly. I mean, if you can whittle down some of the damage on that Zapdos, that would be really great for him going into the next couple of turns. Can sort of get rid of one of Nicholas's options to use Tailwind from the field. Zapdos will be retreating though. We're going to see Incineroar come back in once again. Lots of Intimidates just constantly being fired off here, so it's just going to weaken some of the attack from this Incineroar as well. Obviously, that Nidoking being a special variant will not be worried about it at all. Protect coming out from Landorus, as you said there, just doesn't want to take a fake out or anything like that. And it's going to be the Ice Beam, which was going into the Zapdos. Incineroar, though, really not going to worry about that at all. As Knockoff comes out, though, as well. So that both were targeting into the opposing Zapdos, and we're going to see it was the Figgy Berry on Incineroar, so doesn't have access to that anymore, can't rely on it for any health regain. Yeah,
I really like this play. I was just talking about it, how a combination of Ice Beam plus Fake Out or Ice Beam plus Knockoff would be great into that Zapdos, and I think Jens just realized that as well, but while on the other side, Nicholas, he just saw that option as well and thought a clever switch in here, protecting Landorus, and then Incineroar is easily taking that Ice Beam Knockoff combination, losing his berry, but he doesn't care too much because he's now in a great position where he
now has Fake Out.
Fake Out again, and Landorus is a little bit safer here. Switching out to Zapdos and going for an Earthquake would be a great play here, and if that Landorus is faster, then this might be game.
Well, we'll have to see what happens. Zapdos has switched in. Nidoking's going to protect, though, potentially fearing the Earthquake that you just mentioned there. But, of course, the Incineroar will have to take it. It's exactly what Landorus has gone for here. Not going to affect his partner Pokemon. Only going to target down the Incineroar off the 3 on the field. But this is going to do a lot of damage. Is it enough? It is enough to pick up the KO. So Incineroar will be removed from the field. And Jens no longer has his Intimidate option that we've seen them use. Like, they've loved Intimidate throughout this entire game. But Jens now doesn't have that in his field. So he might have to stop going on the defensive and maybe start pulling out some strong moves now.
And there's a very crucial turn coming up here, because that Metagross is pressuring down the Landorus, but Zapdos, of course, wants to set up Tailwind here. So let's say Jens sees that Landorus is protecting once again. He can just go for an Ice Punch Ice Beam combination, and if that Nidoking is faster than Zapdos, then he will prevent him from Tailwind coming up. And Jens will be in a great position. But on the other side, if Landorus is just going straight for an attack, it should be still boosted there. And boost an Earthquake might even be enough to pick up the KO on that Metagross, which is at full health now. So this is like the key turn in this second game here.
It's all going to come down to what that Landorus does. Does it stay in or does it switch out? Obviously fearing an Ice Punch or something, it might want to switch out, bring that Incineroar back in. It's not going to worry about taking any Ice moves, and obviously fire off and Intimidate again. If Metagross decides to Mega Evolve, that will affect its attack stat. But we're just going to have to see what Jens does go for. He brings in his Incineroar, so if Jens decided to go for the double into Zapdos like you suggested, that would have been a great switch in for him there. Thankfully, due to the speeds, that Metagross managed to take the Intimidate before Mega Evolving, so it will not have affected its stats. Obviously, it had been the other way around. There would have been a slightly sadder Metagross on the field, but now it's here and it's full power, really looking strong. And it's gone for a Zen Headbutt into the Incineroar slot, so really interesting move there. Earthquake comes out from the opposing Landorus. This is going to attack on all 3 Pokemon, picks up the KO on Nidoking and its own Incineroar. I mean, we were talking about defensive plays, and now they have to go on the offensive. That's exactly what you want to see.
Yep.
Also, the reveal of Zen Headbutt. We were talking about this in round 1. It's been so uncommon lately, but we've now seen it here twice on stream, so that Incineroar switch in was incredible.
Yeah, very great. Zen Headbutt, of course, great addition, but I think Jens was actually running that in Oceania already. But as I said, this Landorus was going to decide this game and actually stayed in, went for that Earthquake, picked up the KO, and dealt a lot of damage to the Metagross, which is now an easily pick-up KO range for Zapdos. So Nicholas going all out there, not risking losing his Landorus, more so risking it, but like coming out as a winner in this second game here.
I mean, that was just incredible. That, like we were saying about the Landorus, was it going to stay in? Is it going to switch out? But the fact that it stayed in, managed to pick up 2 KOs. Yeah, it took down its partner Pokemon, but at that stage, it really didn't matter.
Yep.
Nicholas just needed to take down some of Jens' Pokemon and just leave him with that Metagross that wasn't going to survive another Earthquake coming out from the Landorus. So once again, it's been an absolute masterclass in switching up your ball positioning, making sure you're preserving the right Pokemon for the right opposing Pokemon so that you can take it down later in the game. Because if you lose that Pokemon early, we saw it in one of the previous games as well, where I think an Incineroar switched in and just got KO'd straight away and they needed it for the Ferrothorn. You know, you're going to put yourself at a disadvantage straight away. But here in this game, particularly Nicholas managed to preserve his Pokemon correctly, made sure that that Landorus was in a position at the end to be able to sweep out the game.
Yep, so we see how it actually comes down to ground Pokemon dominating this game here. It was Nidoking in the first game and then Landorus in the second game. I think Metagross was such a great addition here to take care of that Landorus, but Nicholas really like maneuvered around that Metagross really well, bringing his Landorus in a spot where he can just like not just go for an attacks but risk attacks, and then it just paid off for Nicholas there. So great game in this second round.
We have a game 3.
Yeah, we have a game 3, best of 3. And like this match point is still here going on for both players.
Exactly, it's really intense here at round 4 as well. You're really well versed into the tournament at the minute. Your head's really focused, but you're also kind of at that post halfway point. So we have 7 rounds here today. So it'll be interesting to see in game 3 if these players are going to really adapt or anything. Personally, I would really quite like to see maybe Rotom Wash come into the field here. I'm not sure which Pokemon you'd switch it out for, but it's a really good answer to both the Landorus and the Incineroar,
yes.
Which obviously gave Jens quite a lot of problems in that game, particularly with the Landorus being a physical variant. If it does pack something like Will-O-Wisp and it's able to hit it, that can really sort of negate a lot of the damage that Landorus could do. Particularly from that game 2, we've seen how much it can really threaten Jens' team.
Yep, very good conclusion there, especially seeing that Cortana leave the party in the second round. Rotom would be in a really great spot here for this game. We see Nidoking Metagross. I like Metagross addition here. I was not expecting any changes for game 2, but I think Metagross was a great pick, knowing that Landorus is not Scarf. And we see it joining the party once again. But now Gengar pressing down the Metagross with a Shadow Ball. I think Nidoking, though, is in a great spot here. Yeah,
Nidoking's in a great spot. It's facing down 2 Pokemon that do not want to be taking an Earth Power at all. But unfortunately for its partner Metagross, it's facing down both Ghost and Fire in this current situation. That's a combination it doesn't want to take. And obviously Gengar's such a speedy little Pokemon, particularly if it hits the Mega Evolution button and Jens is trapped in with his Metagross and Nidoking. You know, Nicholas is going to be in a position to easily be able to sweep that through. And I think Jens wants to preserve that Metagross. It's such a great offensive speedy Pokemon for him. We can quite likely see it switch out here.
Yeah, I expect to switch out as well. On the other side though, we can expect that Landorus and Zapdos is in the back, so Nidoking, yes, pressing those 2 Pokemon, but not doing too much against Landorus and Zapdos in the back. So switching that out as well could work as well, but we were expecting a switch out of Metagross, but switching in Togekiss could work as well.
Exactly, Togekiss on the field here, it can follow me away any Shadow Balls. It's not going to worry about that too much. What it does have to worry about though is if Gengar wants to click the Sludge Bomb option though, because that's a move that it really does not want to take. Mega Evolution going left, right and centre on the field here, both on the Gengar and the Metagross that they've taken on their Mega Evolution forms. A fake out though from that Incineroar, going to go into the Togekiss with a cheeky little critical hit there, and it is going to be the Shadow Ball straight into that Metagross. This can do a huge amount of damage and picks up the KO. So straight away, Jens may be thinking Nicholas was going to predict a protect or a switch out, but no, he's bold, stays in, tries to attack with the Metagross and pays for it.
Yes, he actually pays for it. I'm not a huge fan of that. I mean, of course, this is game 3 here. deciding the outcome of this whole match and then risking so much in the very first turn. That is like a play you can easily see in the first game of a best of 3. I don't really agree with it in the best of, like in the third game here, losing his Metagross so early in the game, because just protecting and bringing tokens is such a safe play. Because on the other side for Nicholas, like what is Jens about to do against the fake out Shadow Ball combination? He can just protect that away, but kind of like have a real answer to that. So Jens losing his Metagross early in this game is very huge. Nicholas now in a huge advantage. The question is how is he able to play that down?
Exactly, he's going to switch out his Incineroar straight away. I mean, interestingly enough, Jens has now got his Nidoking back on the field. Paired up with that Togekiss, he can follow me and Earth Power into that Gengar potentially if that's what he wants to go for. Gengar's going to protect and Zapdos has switched in, so no matter who he's Earth Powered, if that's what he's gone for this turn, it's going to do no damage. Actually going into the protect of the Gengar as Togekiss goes for a Tailwind, so just wants to get the speed advantage going up. Obviously Gengar having now protected, if it stays in, it's potentially going to be taking an Earth Power.
Yep. So the very funny part here is that Nidoking, with his variety of attacks, Earth Power, Ice Beam, is able to deal super effective damage against Gengar, Incineroar, Landorus, and Zapdos. But on the other side, Earth Power is not touching Zapdos and Landorus, and Ice Beam is like an easy takeout for Incineroar. So you always have to choose the right attack, and Nicholas has so many options to switch around to not like let Nidoking deal any damage. So it might also come down to Jens predicting switches out and probably Ice Beaming the Gengar here, thinking of a Landorus switch in.
He is going to click Ice Beam. Which one has he gone into? It's actually going to be into that Zapdos. Does actually a good amount of damage there. Togekiss going for an Air Slash. I think doubling up into that Zapdos slot. Doesn't want it to potentially get up a Tailwind, but it's not enough. Actually enough to prot the berry, so Zapdos will be healthier thanks to that Air Slash than it was prior to Togekiss moving. Gengar goes for an Icy Wind. So interesting move here on Gengar. One that I personally love. Not only will it get a good little bit of chip damage or huge amount of damage in the case of Nidoking, it will also reduce the speed on Jens's 2 Pokemon there. Zapdos unfortunately did flinch there though, however.
Yep. So Ice Wind is one option to negate the speed boost from Tailwind. But I think Nidoking, even after one Icy Wind, should be faster than the Gengar. And Zapdos flinching there was huge, because not being able to set up a Tailwind to counter Jens' Tailwind. So a lot of speed control action going on here. With that lucky flinch, Togekiss managed to preserve that Tailwind coming up from Zapdos. Yeah, so the question here is Nidoking actually faster than Gengar after that Icy Wind?
Yeah, where are the speeds at? Because obviously there's a Tailwind on Jens' side of the field, but he has just taken that Icy Wind, and facing a Pokemon like Gengar that's super speedy, it's going to be interesting to see what the speed tiers are set at the moment. Gengar, however, is just going to retreat from the field, going to bring in Landorus, so Earth Power is really going to do nothing at the moment, so the speeds are not going to matter too much if Jens has clicked into that move. Potentially if he's gone for something like an Ice Beam though, this will be amazing, but unfortunately not. Earth Power it is. Togekiss goes for Air Slash though once again, going to target into that Zapdos. Thanks to the berry, it's super healthy, but will it get another flinch? It does! Okay,
very interesting to see that even Togekiss was faster than Zapdos after that Tailwind and Ice Wind combination here. But of course, Zapdos flinching again here. Nidoking going for that Earthquake. I was talking about how it's really important that Jens goes for the right attacks into the right slots here, because yeah, that Landorus is just easily is immune to Earth power.
Exactly.
So risky Ice Beam into that Gengar would have been clutch here, but it's not coming out unfortunately. So yeah, we have to see how he's playing out his Togekiss. Nidoking, but just protecting away the last Tailwind turn here, and then going for Earthquake or Rock Slides is a really great way for Nicholas to sealing up this game.
Exactly, Earthquake in this position with Zapdos as your partner is going to be really, really great for him here. Nidoking going to switch out though, and I'm likely going to see, I was going to say the Incineroar potentially for a bit of Intimidate, but it's the Rotom. I said I wanted to see it, and Jens has not let me down on this occasion. We see Rotom Wash join the field. Incineroar will come in though, but it will be for Nicholas's side of the field. So going to fire off an Intimidate, but Jens' Pokemon will not mind about this at all. And it's nice that he's got his Nidoking in the back now, so he can use it later on in the game. Protect coming out from the Landorus though, just like you said, to kind of stall out the rest of Tailwind, as Togekiss goes for another Air Slash. It's going to go into this Incineroar, do a little bit of damage. Don't have to worry about flinches because it just switched in though. But now that Tailwind's over, we've got to remember as well that Togekiss is at -1 speed.
Yep. That might be important for Incineroar outspeeding it, and then a Rock Slide Flabber's combination might be enough for that Togekiss. But Rotom, you just mentioned it before the game, and he actually brings it, and now Rotom is facing Incineroar, Landorus, and Zapdos in the back, so Rotom is in a really great spot here. I like that adaptation from Jens. We have to see which moves that carries and how he's able to hit his hydro pumps or his will-o-wisps.
That is always the question. Rotom can be such a trusty little Pokemon by your side, but his moves do not tend to be the most accurate. I would love to see a will-o-wisp here go into the Landorus, though, just to kind of negate the damage that it can be giving out in this position. But obviously, Incineroar having switched in, it's got access to Fake Out. If Rotom isn't packing something like Protect, it can be taking potentially a Rock Slide here. I mean, this is exactly what we're seeing, but Rotom this time, being the nimble Pokemon, does just manage to avoid. Will obviously take the Fake Out, can't get any damage off this turn, but will not have to take that crucial Rock Slide. And for Togekiss, it actually worked out pretty well. It manages to get its berry and regain up a lot of health.
And both Pokemon flinching, one thanks to that Fake Out, the other one thanks to the Rock Slide. So the Rock Slide once again coming in clutch here. Landorus not dealing too much damage, but getting that flinch on Togekiss was probably really important here.
Stops another Tailwind or anything.
Yeah, exactly. But Togekiss still in a great spot because I don't think another, like, thanks to that berry broke here, it might actually be enough to take a combination of Rock Slide and Flabébé here, for example, and it also would risk that Rotom is getting up a super effective attack against either Landorus or Incineroar. So it really comes down to what Nicholas decides to go here. It is Rock Slide, of course.
Yep, clicks Rock Slide, and this time it connects on both of Jens's Pokemon. Not going to be picking up the KO on Togekiss, however, but the flinches could be critical, and that's exactly what happens to the Rotom. So that little Pokemon I was so happy to see has unfortunately not been able to move. Flare Blitz coming out from the Incineroar, going into Togekiss, but not enough to pick up the KO, but it also flinches. So poor Jens, back-to-back flinches here.
Very unfortunate here. Rock Slide, probably deciding the outcome of this game, with a double flinch here. Togekiss would be able to set up a Tailwind, which would help Rotom down, and Rotom would be able to just fire off an Hydro Pump or Will-O-Wisp, but I think at this point Hydro Pump would be the better play. Now Rock Slide coming off, just picking up the KO on Togekiss. Rotom, I hope it doesn't flinch, because if there's a knockoff coming off, it should not only knock off the berry.
It goes for Hydro Pump, and it does actually manage to connect this. Goes onto that opposing Landorus, picks up the one-hit KO. So there's adorable little washing machine here. You know, hasn't been able to move for 2 turns. It clicks a non-accurate move and manages to connect it. So it's doing really, really well here to try and pull it back for its trainer. Going to take a Flare Blitz, but thanks to the water typing on there, it's not going to be picking up the KO. But it will also be able to munch on this little bit of berry. So, you know, a little reward for hitting that Hydro Pump.
Yeah, and we can see how Nicholas is not super happy about this play, because he could have went for that knockoff, knocking off that berry, probably even picking up that KO on that Rotom. We see how Jonas went for knockoff instead of Flare Blitz. Now we see how knockoff would have been the better play. So very interesting to see how it comes down to choosing the right move, actually. And now Gengar is facing that Nidoking. Not super happy about that, but Nidoking already taking a Icy Wind, which they've allowed 50%.
Did a huge amount of damage.
So we have to see if Gengar is just able to pick up the KO. Also, another option is that Rotom is carrying the move Electro Web, which would come in really handy here, because it would lower the speed of that Gengar. That
would really help out his partner Nidoking. It's such a shame that the Togekiss flinched. If it was going for something like Tailwind, this would put Jens in such a great position. The Protect is going to save it from the Shadow Ball from the opposing Gengar. No Electro Web, but a Thunderbolt coming out from the Rotom Wash into the Gengar. And this turn, it will take that knockoff. But thanks to having eaten this berry, it's not going to be dealing as much damage.
And I think this game will actually come down to a Nidoking either surviving an attack from Gengar or not. Maybe even going for a second Protect, not getting it.
Yeah, well, he didn't get it, unfortunately, so he will be taking the Shadow Ball, but will it be enough? Going to connect right onto Nidoking. It is enough to pick up the KO there, and Nidoking will return back to Jens, having done so well for him so far in this game. Another Hydro Pump connect, though, from this Rotom. Going to be on the Gengar, but unfortunately, it is not enough to pick up the KO, and it's going to take another knockoff from the opposing Incineroar, which will be enough to clean up this game for Nicholas. So, the newcomer into the scene, taking on the Nidoking and Jens, and manages to clean this up in a best-of-3 set. Congratulations to both these players.
Congratulations to both of them, of course. And I think it was really crucial that he was able to prevent that Tailwind from going up again. Of course, really lucky with those Rock Slide flinches. But Rock Slide does what Rock Slide does, and prevent your opponent from moving sometimes.
To be fair, Jens did avoid 2 of them in game 1, so it's a little bit of up and down.
Very true. And then just naturally being faster with that Gengar and pressing down that Nidoking, which already took an Icy Wind early in the game, just stealed the game for Nicholas. So congratulations for that. Of course, facing a very, I don't want to say established player, but a player
He's well known this season.
Well known, of course, and then having this great success from Oceania. But now Nicholas, I don't want to say an unknown player, but not known to the big scene, now being 4-0 in this final in this tournament here. probably 2 wins away from his top cut finish. So I'm excited to see how Nicholas is finishing his tournament after a great 4-0 start here.
Yeah, he's done
And
incredible.
we are probably getting him for a short interview soon.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to him and just sort of find out what's going on with his headspace at the minute. He's coming to this tournament. He was saying he was feeling so underconfident after Prague, and he's come in here now 4-0. He's just going to be, hopefully, riding this confidence all the way. So we will grab him for a really quick interview as soon as we can, and we'll be back very soon. So don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back, Pokemon trainers. I am joined by the winner of our round 4 stream match, Nicholas. How are you feeling after that incredible game?
I was very stressed at the beginning, but I'm very happy at this moment.
I mean, it obviously went to the 3 games there as well, and you were playing against someone who you might have seen on stream with in Oceania.
Yes.
How did you feel facing down that Nidoking?
Nidoking was a problem, but I got a Jolly Landorus, so I can outspeed the Nidoking, so I can EQ and then kill him, because Nidoking was a threat for my team. With Ice Beam and Earth Power, it was very complicated to deal with.
Earth Power was such a problem, but we loved seeing you constantly switching in Zapdos and Landorus so that you could just take all of those Earth Powers easy because they were up in the air.
Yes.
One thing we talked about a lot in Game 1 was at the beginning, for about the first 6 turns, there was no damage. There was lots of Intimidate and switches. What was going through your mind? Were you just trying to focus on ball positioning, or what was your goal?
I knew that Sword Dance Landorus was a key. And I wait the right moment to just put the Sword Dance, but I missed 2 Rock Slide. But
that Togekiss was trouble.
Yes.
But as well with the Landorus, unfortunately that Togekiss took your Z move as well, but you did manage to pull it back into the end.
Yes.
In that Game 3 in particular, just sort of talking through a couple of moves, one turn that we were really excited about was turn 1. So he had his Metagross against your Incineroar and Gengar, and we were saying he's going to switch out that Metagross, and then you just managed to Shadow Ball it straight away. What were your thoughts? Did you think he would switch or protect, or?
I think he will make the protect.
Okay.
But
just in case.
Just in case. But I knew that if he go for that, then next turn I can Shadow Ball. But
you'd be trapped in.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it was a very, very hyped turn. And I think taking down his Metagross straight away put you in such a good position.
Yes.
We were talking a little bit before your set, and you said this is your first year competing.
Yes. First, not really, but it was my first stream, and
okay.
But I went in Prague.
Yeah.
And I made a bad result. I was not in confidence.
Okay.
I made 0-3. I choose my team just before the tournament. So it was very complicated. But I decided to come here because I got a team that I like, and yes.
Did you change it quite a lot from your Prague team? Is it very different?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
I learned a lot with Prague, even if it was a bad result. I think I start with a new Mega Evolution with Mega Gengar.
Yeah.
And then I try to build around, but without Komo.
I was about to say, we've seen it a lot with Komodo, but it's nice to see it maybe with some slightly different Pokemon. But
I fight Jamie Boyt.
And he's running Komodo and Gengar.
Yes.
So I can imagine that was intense. How did that game go? Obviously you won.
I won.
Was it close?
Yes, very close.
Oh, and I'm sure we'll be able to catch up with him later as well at some point. But just congratulations on this game. Is there anyone you want to shout out at home that you've team build with or train with, practice with?
I would like to thank Animus VGC who helped me with the team, and all the French players all the French players
practice together.
Yes.
And
yes, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations in this game. We'll let you go and sort everything out and get focused for round 5, but keep this confidence up and just keep winning. You never know what might happen.
Thank you.
Congratulations once again, and we will be back very, very soon for round 6, so don't go anywhere.